Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about the NVIDIA 2080 Ti and my opinion on the launch and if it's worth buying. So let's get right into it. So this is an article from Gamers Nexus. They're a reliable source in my opinion. I donate to their Patreon, so I have no qualms about using their benchmarks for purposes of my video because, I kind of paid for them and they're also public. So there's that, and I like their test methodology. So the NVIDIA 2080 Ti and the whole 20 series of graphics cards came out, I think, yesterday. And the Zotac 2080 Amp Extreme, blah, 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 lots of words on that title, is $839, and that's before taxes. Now, for comparison, here's the 1080 Ti. This is EVGA. EVGA makes really good cards. This is their triple fan layout, blah, blah, blah. $709.99. And when you look at the performance, I think this is actually the exact same card. Yeah, it is. So, is it SC2? No, this I think is a dual axial. So this one's actually a little bit better. And this one got 61 FPS, and the RTX 2080 got 62.6. That's within margin of error, for those of you who don't know. And the story is pretty on the money so far as them all being within margin of error for this graphics card. It's $130, $40 extra. So, I mean, considering there's no RTX games to buy at the moment, like, there's nowhere to buy games that have RTX features enabled yet. So you're buying a promise, and you're not getting any extra performance, but you're paying more money. And then if you go to the next offering, which is their higher offering, which is the 2080 Ti, you're getting, a little bit more performance, about 30%, which is what we see year after year for most NVIDIA products, but you're jumping in price. This is not the retail price. The retail price is about $1,200 to $1,400. But you're getting 30% extra performance from the 1080 Ti, and you're getting 50% extra price? Like what? You're doubling the amount of money to buy the product, and you're getting 30% more performance. That's not a good deal in my opinion. I'm sorry, but it's just not. And I understand that these new graphics cards cost NVIDIA more to make because of the bigger die size, but that's not my problem as a consumer. Like, it's just not. And as for RTX, I'm sorry, but I don't want to play at 20 FPS. That's just because when you turn on RTX, which is their new global illumination thing that's supposed to be all special and amazing, it tanks your performance. Like, tanks to like 30 FPS. And I don't know any PC gamer who wants to play at 30 FPS. Now, if you're like a developer or something and you want to, buy these cards because you need to develop for this technology and whatnot, yeah, that makes sense. But as for buying these cards, just as an average consumer, let's say you're even a prosumer, let's say you have a 1080 Ti right now, and let's say that you even have $2,500 right now to buy this off Amazon because you want to. Well, what's your use case? Like, what are you going to do with that? The 1080 Ti right now in my computer can push most games at like 144 FPS at 1080p, and that's with all the settings maxed, all the everything. Like, I'm getting, easily, great numbers with everything on, except for like render scaling up to like 200%. I don't do it because then you're running at 4K. It's not the same thing as 1080p. But let's say you have a 144 hertz 4K monitor, which are expensive, really expensive. Let's say you're just, top of the pack with what you're buying. How will this card change your experience? Because this card pushes 4K 67 FPS, and the 1080 Ti pushes 4K 54 to 4K 56 FPS. Like, you're getting an improvement, yes, but it's not an improvement that's actually going to change your like quality of play. you know, 9 FPS it's not a big deal, especially for, you know, in this, like if you want to buy it off Amazon right now for an extra $1,900, $1,800. I just don't see it. Like even people who are like, you know, completely have no concept of, you know, money, I don't think they're going to see a, you know, benefit from this. So that's my issue. I don't plan on getting any of these cards. If I planned on upgrading, I'd go to 1080 Ti and just have SLI. But I don't see the benefit in this. Maybe next generation, if RTX has gotten a lot faster and you can run games at maybe, you know, 80 FPS with RTX on, then I might consider it. And you'd have to drop the price because, like, no, NVIDIA. I know that. So here's the story. These cards ran on a much smaller die. And so smaller die is cheaper for NVIDIA to produce. So it's cheaper for NVIDIA to produce than the last generation, but they charged more for them. Now, these ones are more expensive for NVIDIA to produce than the last generation. They're not as competitive in, you know, benchmarks. Well, they're not as competitive in benchmarks as the last generation was. Like Pascal is just a better, you know, it's a better generation leap than this is. And they're charging way more for them. So I think this is going to be a flop. I really do. The 2080 Ti, it looks like a cool card. If it was like, you know, $1,000, like that for the partner cards, the better cards, $1,000, then it would be pretty cool. That's still pretty pricey. I mean, that's kind of like, I mean, yeah, $1,000, it would be cool. But at, you know, $1,400, just no, it's not worth it in my opinion. So that's my rundown of the RTX graphics cards. And you can look through like all these benchmarks. They're all pretty much the same. You know, the 2080 and the 1080 are essentially tied, and the 1080 Ti in some of these instances actually does better than the 2080. Like noticeably better outside of the margin of error. And yeah, like look here. You have a 0.2 FPS difference. Is 0.2 FPS 0.2 FPS. Is that worth your $200 extra or $140 extra? I just don't see it. Or here, 0.3 FPS. No, that's 4 FPS. 4 FPS at 171. I don't see it. I just don't. And I'm sorry. I really am. If someone really loves this, what is SOTTR? Okay, so that modified 86K. They're using good CPU. I mean, I just don't see the improvement here for the price tag. And yeah, so I'm not going to be getting it. I'm going to be waiting for the next generation. So that's my take. I hope you guys have had fun this video. Check out my Discord link below. My Twitter is linked below. And yeah, have a nice time. Love you long time. Bye-bye.